Hello, everyone. Welcome to Forum Friday. On Forum Fridays, Mark and I will talk about what's going on in the forums. Hi, Mark.
Hi, everybody.
How
We
you
have a
doing, Mark?
busy forum. Oh, I'm doing great. Lots of snow, but I'm doing great.
That's I'm just tired of snow as well. We were just dumped a bunch, a couple days ago. We got like 10 inches here and there, so it's a lot. Anyway, it's exciting to learn what's going on at the forums, especially with our Facebook group. Can you share a little?
I'd
Bit
like
of
to
the
share a little bit
statistics?
on the statistics and tell
Yeah.
you it's really interesting. I mean, it continues to grow and it's very active. On average, we get about 12 new members every day, right? So
Wow.
it just keeps growing and growing. On average, there's typically, at least 2 new posts a day. So there's
Wow.
lots of questions out there, lots of interesting conversations, and things like that. And the really nice thing about our Facebook group is that it's active. It's a very active group. About half of the membership, like almost half of the membership, is engaging on the website. So in the past month of our membership on Facebook, about half of them have either liked or commented or posted. So that's great. That means that everybody is really getting a chance to, at least once a month, to have a look at this, and most of them obviously more than that, right?
Yeah, that's unbelievable. And we started this, we probably get one post every few days now. It's like,
Yeah, maybe
that's a
once a
lot.
week.
And 500 comments in the past month.
Yeah. Yeah, 500 comments in the
That's
past month.
great.
Just it's been really nice, and it's great for me too that there's so much engagement with people supporting each other. Like we've said so many times, is that the conversations are happening and everybody's looking after each other, and that's the whole idea here, guys, right? And then, it's not like they don't have to wait until you or I have time to post a contribution. It's already taken care of. The membership is doing that. That's the natural progression of things there. And the one other thing I just want to mention is that the day that seems to see the most activity on average in the past month, at least, has been Monday. So
Oh.
it's shifted a little bit from Sunday to Monday. Most of that activity is in the US and Canada. And it tends to happen mostly between 2 p.m. Pacific time, which is 5 p.m. Eastern. And then for those who are like in India and the Philippines, that's like 5, 6 in the morning, right? So it's all over there, right? But we see, I mean, the graph that I can see, it shows me the activity. It's shaped like a pyramid, so that the peak, it's not like there's nothing happening and only Monday. It just sort of goes up like this, right? So that it's before that peak period and afterwards, there's all those conversations happening. So it's basically from Friday to Wednesday is when everything is sort of going on there, right? It's really cool.
All right. So, what is the first question or discussion you want to cover?
The first one is something that fits for me in my background in doing as a baker and pastry chef, as well as a lot of things that I worked on in technical support and in fats and oils research. And that is a question on the fats for donuts, the kind of fats that we use in donuts. And in essence, there's really 2 different fats that we use. Some might say 3 if you count the icing, but in general, there's 2 different fats. And that is, you can use a all-purpose fat or even a vegetable oil in the dough, because that is for the lubricity of the dough. That's to make the donut kind of moist inside a little bit and to help give it its extensibility and things like that, so it's not too elastic. And then for frying, that's where you need solids, as we say in the fat industry. That's where you need a fat that has a lot of saturated fat. And in the days when we used to have partial hydrogenation, that was easy. right? I mean, they could dial it in up or down, whichever you wanted. But now we have to do it formulating by blending fully hydrogenated fats, which have no trans, together with like oils like palm oils or coconut oil and things like that to get the right kind of solids. Because why is solids important? Well, yes, it's liquid when it's hot and it's frying. But when it cools after frying, you need this fat to be solid. Otherwise, the icing slips off and or the powdered sugar dissolves. Right? So that oil, that fat that remains on the donut after frying has to get hard so that the icing and the sugar or whatever you're putting on it will stay there. Otherwise, it won't. And so, of course, if
Gosh,
there's
this is making me so hungry. Wait, let me go get my Krispy Kreme.
yeah, exactly. So, and yes, the poster is actually trying to do some copying of the Krispy Kreme donut, which
That's
is,
my all-time favorite is the
yeah,
Krispy Kreme.
and it's highly proprietary.
Oh my God, it's so
And
good.
and they do a unique process that usually only high volume production donut manufacturers use, which is they use a pressure cut donut. So they actually have special machines designed for their franchises, for their stores that
Amazing.
cut, and so it looks like a big hopper, and
Yeah.
using air pressure, it squeezes the dough out and it cuts it off similar to the way a cake donut is cut and
Wow,
drops it onto the
amazing.
screens. So there's zero waste that way.
Yeah,
That's the
and
thing.
no rework, you know?
No rework,
Yeah.
and it's a much softer dough, right? It's a much more soft. There's a little bit of rework at the end of the day, but that is becomes part of the formula as you put fermente into the dough the next day all the time, right?
Okay, we need to stop talking about this. I'm so hungry right now for
So
Krispy
it's
Kreme.
it's an
Okay.
interesting conversation. It's a basically all around the fats primarily, and that is the thing is that you need to work again with your suppliers in what are you
Mhm.
using the fat for, and what type of icing are you using or glazes to make sure you get it to solidify in the time that you need, and also so that it doesn't leave a waxy taste in your mouth. Because if there's too much
Oh,
solids, that's not
yeah.
good either, right? Um,
No. Great. Mark, you're such an expert on donuts. That's awesome. All right, let's talk about this rusk dough. What's going on in this discussion?
Well, a rusk is it's a British term. It's used a lot in like East India and things like that. Some of you, like me, I grew up in Germany, and in Germany where I grew up, I knew it as Zwieback,
Mm.
which is like a German slang that means twice baked. In North America, what we see it mostly is Melba toast.
Oh,
So it
got
is
it.
a sweet, rich, usually yeast raised bread that is sliced after it's baked and cooled, and then it is baked again. So it's not just simply toasted; it's actually baked a second time to dry it out completely. And it's something that is given to children a lot for teething and things like that because they can kind of suck on
Yes.
it and stuff. And it's some people would use it for dieting because it's dry and helps fill your stomach for a bit and things
Mm.
stuff like that. But so they're looking at this rusk. So of course it has a lot of sugar, as I mentioned, and what they're trying to do is use ACE K as a sugar substitute. ACE K is a sulfamine.
Splenda.
Yeah, it's Splenda. Yeah. And so usually in baking, we don't use one high intensity sweetener on its own. We usually combine them to get the best sweetness effects by
Yep.
minimizing the amount of aftertaste. And the aftertaste is what he was complaining about. And now we have to keep in mind that Splenda is about 300 times as sweet as sugar, but it has no bulking effect. And of course, sucralose is another one that is 200 times as sweet as sugar. Or no,
Mhm.
well, sucralose is 600 times, and stevia is 200 times as sweet as sugar.
I don't know how you keep up with these numbers.
And so you want to use these in combination, and he's using too much already as well, was part of it. So I recommended that he try to use about a third of what he's using.
What is the problem?
He's getting too much aftertaste.
Oh, okay.
From the
Yeah.
ACK.
Too much. Yeah.
So apparently what he's trying to do is reduce the sugar amount for calories. Maybe he's trying to make a keto Melba toast, right? So, so he still has a lot of sugar in there. So, he can cut the sugar back some more, and he can definitely reduce the ACE some more as well.
Absolutely.
Because like I said, it's 300 times. So if you have 300 grams of sugar in your recipe, you only need to put 1 gram of ACE and you remove all of the sugar. But of course, now you have to put something else in for functionality, for the browning, for the water, for the humectancy, absorbency, and for structure. So that's what and when we're formulating to reduce sugar, we refer to that as a bulking agent, right? And they can be cellulose, a variety of different things and stuff, right?
Right. All right. Next, let's talk about white sandwich bread and mold-free for 14 days.
Well, this is something I think, does J&K has something, do they?
Yes, they do. Bread mate.
They have Bread Mate. Yeah, it's a clean label, natural mold inhibitor, right?
Yep, cultured wheat. Yep.
Should easily be able to get 14 days.
That should be easy, folks.
Yeah. And then it's the usual culprits other than that. It's prevent contamination.
Right.
It's
air filters, conveyor belts, gloves.
All of that, because you could put all the Bread Mate and calcium propionate and everything else you want in there, but if you have contamination, you're still going to get mold, right?
Yeah. And, a lot of people think that things like Bread Mate and cultured wheat are one-to-one. Actually, the natural product, you need more of them, right? So if you don't want to put too much of it, because it's going to give you some kind of off flavor if you use too much of it, these are the things that you need to do at your plant. You need to, dust for flour off the shelves. You need to make sure there's as little contaminants in the air as possible, And a lot of bakers that go from wholesale to actually regional, they don't understand that they're actually baking with more flour in the air, and with more flour comes more mold spores. And if you don't remove that flour in the air through some kind of flour reclaim system, then you're going to have more moldy bread regardless of how much cultured wheat you put in. So these are the things that I don't think bakers know about when they grow, is the effect of their growth on mold. This is a huge effect. So,
like we were talking with Mark from Nepra Foods yesterday, and he talked about how where he's in Denver right now, and in the winter time, so he's a mile high up, and so their air is very, very dry right now, and they have almost no mold spores. So if let's say if you were formulating your bread in Denver and you're getting 2 or 3 weeks shelf life, no problem, and now you take it down to Mississippi in July, and you're going to have a lot of problems, right?
Right, exactly.
It's very humid, and there's a lot of mold. So
All right. Let's do one more, Mark. Pick one.
One more. Let's see. We have one here.
Isn't there something on Leoparding or something like that?
This one, they're converting from a small bakery to a fully automated warehouse. And so from what I could tell is they're making a pizza crust. And so they're going from hand dividing and hand shaping and everything. They're using a Rheon machine to do the dough dividing. And so they're finding that it's not quite the same. And so it's interesting. They're not getting the same, they're trying to get the same rise. They're not getting the same leoparding. My mother-in-law always says a leopard can't change his spots. So here they proved her wrong, right? They're getting
Can I
leopard.
ask a very fundamental question? How do you define leoparding?
Well,
What is leoparding?
leoparding is these brown spots with the little kind of white bubbles that you see on uh, the edge of pizza crusts or on some artisan breads. And most of this comes from oxidation of the dough. So basically that it's had time to ferment and produce these bubbles, right? So you have it browns more because it's got a lot of lactose in it that is produced through the fermentation and stuff as well, lactose and lactic acid. Um, and so they're looking into possibly asking for help on whether it could be enzymes or things like that. We're still waiting for them to confirm back that it's a pizza dough. We're all just sort of assuming this at this point. She hasn't said specifically that it's a pizza crust, but that's because she mentions Neapolitan. That makes me think pizza crust, right?
Got it.
And
Yeah.
Neapolitan
With
pizza.
every new machinery, you need different dough conditioners and
Yeah.
fermentation times. So those have to change
And so
basically.
their fermentation time may need to change on the shaping end, like not on the bulking, because although the Rion is a low stress dough handling system, it's still breaking some of the bubbles more than what it's when they hand stretch it. So that's where the difference. So they need to get those bubbles back after it's been stretched. They said that's where they're going to need to increase the fermentation time, and or other, thing is protease enzymes won't help. Well, that's more just for the stretching. Ascorbic acid might help, and other dough conditioners.
Absolutely. Well, that's a lot going on, Mark. Thank
It's
you
busy.
for coming on today with me and,
My pleasure. Thank you.
discuss forum issues. Still growing. These are growing problems. I love to hear about them, and I'm glad that bakers have a place to go to on Facebook.
That's
So
the best part. Yeah.
if you're listening to this and you want to join our Facebook community, we are called Baking Industry Professionals, and we are on both Facebook and LinkedIn.
Yep.
All right, Mark, till next month.
Right.
We'll see
Thank
you
you.
soon.
Have a great time, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.